Good evening and welcome to Spectrum TV News at 9. I am Uyai and I can come to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. Let's take a look at the headlines. NDI, IRI observers say INEC lacks transparency. Nigeria elections below expectations. Akwa Ibom INEC announces final collation of presidential elections. Plus, United Nations wants $4.3 billion to help millions in war-torn Yemen. We'll bring you details of the stories and more in a moment. Good evening. First in the news tonight, International Republican Institute IRI and National Democratic Institute NDI Joint Election Observation Mission IEOM have presented their preliminary statement on the presidential and National Assembly elections in Nigeria. Today in Abuja, the leader Joyce Banda, former president of Malawi, congratulated the people for their resilience and enthusiasm. The mission noted that despite the reforms to the Electoral Act 2022, that the election fell well short of Nigerian citizens' reasonable expectations, while the Electoral Commission lacked transparency. Banda said logistical challenges and multiple incidents of political violence overshadowed the electoral process and impeded a substantial number of voters from participating. NDI and IRL confirmed currency and field shortages imposed excessive burdens on voters and election officials, while marginalized groups, especially women, continue to face barriers to seeking and obtaining political office. In a related development, Independent National Electoral Commission INEC today cancelled the results of 63 polling units in 4 local government areas of Kogi over thuggery and failed BVAs that characterized Saturday's polls. According to reports, the LGAs involved include Okei, Umala, Ulamaboro and Ibaji, out of several others that suffered a similar fate. The most affected was Okehi local government area, which the state government had dug some of its roads a few days before the election to ward off criminal elements from gaining access to the area. Okehi Collation Officer Emeka Oguju, while presenting the results to the state collation officer Professor Wahab Ebewale at the Kogi Collation Center, said the results of 31 polling units were cancelled due to thuggery. Ogujo said that 12,037 votes were cancelled in the 31 polling units and 4 wards in which voting materials were carted away by political thugs. Meanwhile, INEC has said that it was fully aware of the challenges with the Commission Result Viewing Portal, also known as IREV. This was contained in a statement signed by the National Commissioner and Chairman Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye. Okoye noted that portal was only experiencing challenges and not sabotage, noting that the IREV was safe. He added that INEC appreciates the concerns of the public on the situation and urged people to desist from statements and actions that can heat up the polity. In the meantime, the Independent National Electoral Commission has suspended collation of results in Nkwere, Ngwangele, Njaba and Isu federal constituencies of Imo State. The suspension followed the disappearance of the results sheet and results of the election for Njaba local government area. The returning officer for the election, Roslyn Ogechuku, who suspended the election, said that all matters relating to the election has been transferred to the INEC headquarters in Owerri, the state capital. Meanwhile, Peter Obi Presidential Campaign Council (PCC) has demanded the suspension of the ongoing announcement of the results of Saturday's presidential elections. The campaign wants the irregularities in Imo, Edo, Rivers and northern states resolved immediately, advising the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to redeem its image. A statement today by the head of Obidati Media Office, Diran Onifade, said Nigerians had been eager for a new order, hopeful in the promise of INEC and the federal government that the process will be credible. The spokesperson said after careful consideration of field reports from locations around the country, the Labour Party (LP) has first-hand evidence of criminal conspiracies, tricks and irregularities by some INEC and security officials. Onifade said they also have videos of vicious attacks by political thugs, as well as clear evidence of inducement by politicians, one of whom was caught with $500,000 in cash. In the meantime, presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has won Enugu State in the presidential election which took place on Saturday. According to the results declared by the Independent National Electoral Commission, collation officer in the state, Professor Madubisi Ofoiwe, Obi scored 428,640 to defeat Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party and Bola Tinubu of the All Progressives Congress (APC). Atiku polled 15,749 to come second behind in the state, while Tinubu polled 4,772 to come third. New Nigerian People's Party Rabiu Kwankwaso came third with 1,808. In a related development, Labour Party candidate for the House of Representatives Ekene Adams Abubakar has defeated 16 years member of the Green Chamber representing Chikuna and Kajuru Federal Constituency, Yakubu Bade, in the last Saturday's election in Kaduna State. Yakubu Bade has been a member of the House of Representatives representing Chikun and Kajuru Federal Constituency since 2003. Announcing the results in Kaduna today, the returning officer, Professor Bashir Abubakar, explained that the Labour Party candidate defeated the incumbent with 57,725 votes against the PDP candidate who polled 47,937 votes, while APC's Siano Kafra Boaz came third with 19,293 votes. The returns were Akwa Ibom State INEC today announced the total number of votes gained by the respective political parties at the just concluded presidential and National Assembly elections, which took place on Saturday, February 25th across the country. The state coalition officer made the announcement at a press conference held at the INEC office Udodama.
Voters in the state is 2,357,418. 2,357,418. Number of accredited voters 594,450. 594,450. I will give you the total vote for each party. For party A, 860. 860. For party AA, 289. 289. For party AAC, 626. 626. For party ADC, 2,265. 2265. For party ADP, 811,811. Party APC, 160,620. 160620. For party APGA, 783. For party APM, 599. For party APP, 325. For party BP, 524. 524. For party LP, 132,683. 132,683. For party NNPP, 7,796. 7796. For party NRM, 667. 667. For party PDP, 214,012. 214012. For party PRP, 343. 343. For party SDP, 583. 583. For party YPP, 27,179. 27179. For party ZLP, 4,124. 4124. The total valid votes, 555,089. 555089. For the rejected votes, 32,328. 32328. For total votes cast, 587,417. 587,417. This is the summary of the collation. And I will take this opportunity to thank the chairman for this opportunity.
Reacting to the announcement, some party representatives expressed dissatisfaction with the way INEC handled the election, noting that what has been witnessed is not what INEC promised Nigerians. In the meantime, agents of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), Dino Malai and Emeka Ihedioha have walked out of the collation center in Abuja. Malai and Ihedioha, as well as some party agents, alleged manipulation of some figures, calling on the national chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), Professor Mahmood Yakubu, to review them. They also insisted the figures from the different states should be uploaded on the server of the commission. But Yakubu said there would be no review until the process was completed, a development that made Malai and Ihedioha to walk out of the center. Meanwhile, as the collation of the presidential election continues, some youths have protested against the results being wheeled out. The protesters, who are mostly youth, stormed the National Collation Center, the International Conference Center (ICC) in Abuja, to express their displeasure over the election results. The youths, led by activist Moses Ogidi Paul, described the conduct of the presidential election as disgraceful. Elsewhere, Benue State Governor Samuel Otham has lost the Benue Northwest senatorial contest to All Progressives Congress APC's title ZAM. ZAM polled 143,151 votes to defeat Otham with 106,882 votes, and the Labour Party candidate Mark Gilbert, who polled 51,950 votes. Zam, who hails from Gwe West Local Government Area, chairman of the area and special advisor to the governor, Samuel Otham, on local government and chieftaincy affairs. He is the political son of Senator George Akume, Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs. In other developments, President Muhammadu Buhari has called for vigilance as winds and rising temperatures increase risk of fires in forests, homes, public buildings and markets. The president made the call in respect to an outbreak of a major fire incident which had razed the popular Maiduguri Monday market. Buhari, who expressed grief over the destruction caused by the fire, said the nation's prayers and condolences are with the hard-working traders and their families who have reportedly saved little or nothing from the fire. He commended the immediate response of Governor Babagana Zulum's government to the incident, as he directed effective coordination and collaboration between federal and state agencies to bring relief to those who are affected. Away from that, a special envoy of President Muhammadu Buhari, led by the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mohammed Bello, has delivered $1 million support fund to Turkish government. Bello and other members of the envoy were received by the Turkish Foreign Affairs Minister Mevlut Kuşlu at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Turkey's capital, Ankara. The envoy's visit follows the tragic 7.8 magnitude earthquake on February 6 that resulted in the death of about 50,000 people, including former Chelsea and Ghanaian footballer Christian Atsu. In separate developments, the United States has announced a new visa regime, for Nigerians. According to a statement today, Nigerian tourist visa applicants are now eligible for 5 years visa as against 2 years under the previous visa regime. The new regime, according to the statement, takes effect from Wednesday, 1st of March 2023. This follows Nigeria's recent policy of visa reciprocity with the U.S. Elsewhere, Minister of Environment Mohammed Abdullahi has inaugurated a new governing council on National Forestry Trust Fund to tackle the challenges mitigating against overall forestry development and sustainable environment in the country. Performing the ceremony in Abuja, Abdullahi stated that the government has taken a number of critical steps towards assuaging the problems, which include development and strengthening of policy, legal and institutional framework. According to him, the fund was established to address the critical issue of inadequate funding within the forestry sector through its ability to generate additional and complementary sources of funding to supplement government's budgetary provisions. Moving now to judiciary, where High Court 3, sitting in Benin City, Edo State, presided by Justice A.N. Erabo, has struck out a suit brought before it by one Kende Taiga. The court also declared former Edo State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice Osagie Obanwa led executive, the authentic executive of the Committee for the Defense of Human Rights, CDHR, in Nigeria. In a statement, the Delta State Secretary of the Committee for the Defense of Human Rights, CDHR, Comrade Israel Joe, held the court judgment. In a related development, the National Industrial Court of Nigeria has ordered the reinstatement of a lecturer of Ekiti State University, Ado-Ekiti, Olalede Oduo, who was dismissed in December of 2019 by the university authorities over an alleged sex scandal involving a female student, Rachel Olatosin. This was contained in the judgment of the Industrial Court Akure Division in the case filed by Aduo against EXU VC, EXU Governing Council, and the university over his dismissal from the employ of the institution for what he described as phantom sex allegation. Justice Kishoke Damulak, in the judgment delivered on February 8, 2023, declared that the dismissal of the claimant, Aduo, from his appointment with the defendant's EXU by the letter of 5th December 2019 is wrongful, null, and void. The judge added reinstating the claimant to his employment with full entitlements with the payment of his salaries and allowances from the date of dismissal to the date of judgment. In a separate development, International Monetary Fund (IMF) reports that failure to get emissions on the correct course by 2030 may lock global warming above 2 degrees and risk a catastrophic tipping point at which climate change becomes a self-perpetuating. The report, titled "Support for Climate Action Hinges on Public Understanding of Policy," noted that the concern about climate actions alone does not translate into support for climate mitigation policies. According to the report, while governments have ambitious goals, the world has yet to be on track to contain global warming to 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius, adding that public support for climate action relies on the policy awareness. Away from that, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority (NCAA) has commended Dana Air for grounding its airplanes for proper maintenance checks. The Director General of NCAA, Musa Nuhu, disclosed this in Abuja. According to Nuhu, the airline would notify the authority once they are done with the maintenance check. Recall that the airline had informed its customers in a statement via its official Instagram handle that due to the general elections on Saturday, the 25th of February, there will be no flight operations. Still to come in the news. Indirect taxes rise to 3 trillion naira. To stay with us. Thanks for staying tuned. Let's move forward now with the rest of the stories. In Africa, the United Nations Human Rights Council has begun a mammoth 5-week session in Geneva starting today. The council, which promotes human rights and worldwide investigation into violations, is expected to focus on Russia's actions in Ukraine. The agenda also covers alleged war crimes in Ethiopia and the suppression of women in Afghanistan and Iran. Reports say the session will be opened by the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres. Still in Africa, President Emmanuel Macron is to outline France's new strategy for Africa, where anti-French sentiment is running high in some of its former colonies. His speech at the presidential palace comes 2 days ahead of a 4-nation tour of Central African countries, as Paris seeks to counter growing Chinese and Russian influence in the region. Macron is to visit Gabon for an environmental summit, followed by Angola, then the Republic of Congo or Congo-Brazzaville, and finally the neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo. Meanwhile, the president has insisted that Africa is a priority of his second mandate in power, and in July he undertook a trip to Cameroon, Benin, and Guinea-Bissau. On the foreign scene, a Russian drone attack early today left 2 people dead and 3 more wounded in the western Ukrainian city of Kalmyky, as the United Nations Human Rights Council convened in Geneva amid calls for unity in condemning Moscow and extending a probe into war crimes committed in Ukraine. According to the SBU Security Service, a Ukrainian court has jailed 2 captured soldiers accused of taking part in Russian shelling of residential areas in eastern Ukraine. The SBU said in a statement that one of the soldiers had received a 10-year sentence and the other had been jailed for 9 years, but it did not name them. Still on the foreign scene, Pope Francis will visit Hungary in April and meet far-right Prime Minister Viktor Orban, the Vatican said today, with the Ukraine war and migrants expected to dominate talks. Francis, who regularly champions the rights of refugees, will sit down in Budapest with Orban, who portrays himself as the defender of a Christian Europe against migrants. According to a program released by the Vatican, during his April 28th to 30th trip, the Pope will also meet with poor people as well as youth and refugees. It will be the 86-year-old Pope's second visit to the predominantly Catholic country in 2 years. In the meantime, the United Nations appealed for $4.3 billion today to deliver aid this year to millions of people going hungry in war-ravaged Yemen and urged authorities to turn a fragile truce into lasting peace. Reports say the United Nations was holding a 7th pledging conference for Yemen in 7 years, but hoped the next such gathering could focus on rebuilding the broken country rather than staving off hunger. The United Nations says more than 21.7 million people, 2/3 of Yemen's population, need humanitarian assistance this year. With its appeal, it aims to reach the 17.3 million most vulnerable of them. Yemen has been wrecked by a devastating war since 2014, pitting Iran-backed Houthi rebels against the internationally recognized government supported by a Saudi-led military coalition. Meanwhile, the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan today asked for forgiveness over rescue delays while visiting one of the areas hit hardest by the deadly earthquake earlier this month. Erdogan, who is seeking another term as president after 2 decades in power, has received strong criticism from earthquake survivors in Adıyaman in the southeast. In the last election in 2018, Erdogan handily beat his secular opposition rival in that province. Meanwhile, the February 6 quake killed more than 44,000 people in Turkey and thousands more in neighboring Syria. Still on the foreign scene, at least 59 migrants, including 12 children, have reportedly died and dozens are feared missing after their boat sank in rough seas off southern Italy. Italian officials said that the vessel broke apart while trying to land near Crotone. Meanwhile, Interior Minister Matteo Piantedosi, who visited the scene, said more than 30 people may still be missing. Elsewhere, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has struck a new deal on post-Brexit trade rules for Northern Ireland, gambling that the reward of better ties with the European Union is worth any discord it might cause within his own party. A government source said Sunak had agreed the terms with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen as they met at a hotel west of London. According to reports, the agreement marks a high-risk strategy for Sunak, who has been looking to secure a compromise and improve relations with Brussels and the United States without sufficiently angering the wing of his party most wedded to Brexit. Meanwhile, Sunak's spokesman had earlier told reporters that the two sides were in final talks and significant progress had been made over a number of weeks and months. The deal seeks to resolve tensions caused by the 2020 post-Brexit arrangements governing Northern Ireland, a British province, and its open border with European Union member Ireland. And now it's time for the latest business and stock market stories. Here is Blyden Ukem.
Good evening and welcome to Business News. My name is Blyden Ukem. In the news, we begin with the NBS report. The indirect tax burden on Nigerians rose by 18.88% to 3.03 trillion naira in 2022 amid economic downturn and rising inflation. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, Nigerians paid 3.03 trillion naira as indirect tax in 2022, an 18.88% increase from the 2.55 trillion naira that
Still to come in the news. Joshua closes in on IBF title chance to stay with us. Thanks for staying tuned. In conclusion of the news tonight, the Minister of Health, Dr. Sage Hanire, says the federal government has commenced the one-for-one replacement policy to address the effect of the ongoing brain drain in the health sector. He stated that they are working in collaboration with the Office of the Head of the Civil Service to have a one-for-one replacement, whereby as one doctor resigns, another is employed to replace them due to the number of medical practitioners leaving the country. Recall that Ehanire had in August of 2022 said the government would deploy the one-for-one replacement policy to ensure that each healthcare worker that leaves the country will be replaced immediately. Still in health, the Provost and Medical Director of Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital in Abeokuta, Ogun State, Dr. Paul Abuola, says that prolonged and untreated depression in children can lead to organ damage. Abuola, in an interview, urged parents with children suffering from clinical depression to visit experts for proper treatment. He said that low interest in school, bedwetting, reduced appetite, weight loss, are some of the signs of depression in children, adding that child abuse, family history of mental disorder, environmental factors, among others, can lead to depression in children. Over now to Isaac for the latest sports stories.
Well, in sports, former heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua is on the verge of getting a title shot much earlier than he could have imagined, as a chance for the IBBF comes knocking. Joshua could get the opportunity to fight Filip Hrgovic as the next contender in line for a crack at the interim IBF title. The pugilist is close to landing the secondary heavyweight title shot and may be able to compete for the strap he won in 2016 as quickly as this summer. The former two-time world champion is the next in line after Andy Ruiz Jr. and Deontay Wilder in the IBF rankings. Therefore, he's in for a shock opportunity at the vacant interim red strap against Hrgovic. Well, talking about tennis, Andy Murray has pulled out of this week's Dubai Tennis Championships. On Saturday, the Briton, who is 35, played in his fourth ATP final since undergoing hip surgery in 2019. After losing to Daniil Medvedev in the final of the Qatar Open in Doha, Murray said he needed to be a bit smarter with managing his body. The three-time Grand Slam champion Murray lost 6-4, 6-4 to Russian third-seed Medvedev at the end of a thrilling week, which saw him overcome 4 three-set matches and 8 match points en route to the Doha final. Well, finally, talking about football, the story is that Barcelona striker Robert Lewandowski will miss Thursday's Clasico game against Real Madrid with a hamstring strain as the club's problems continue to grow. Lewandowski, who is 34, was injured in Sunday's shock 1-0 defeat to Almeria as Barca missed the chance to open up a 10-point lead over Madrid at the top of La Liga. He would miss this week's clash at Bernabeu in the first leg of the Copa del Rey semi-final and potentially league games against Valencia and Athletic Bilbao. Barca then hosts Madrid in La Liga at Camp Nou on March 19, when Lewandowski will hope to be back. But that's it on sports. I am Isaac.
Thank you, Isaac. Moving down to the entertainment news, Russian President Vladimir Putin has bestowed a prestigious award on U.S. actor Steven Seagal for his work in strengthening international cooperation. In the decades since the height of his Hollywood fame, Seagal has been an outspoken supporter of Putin, who granted the 70-year-old film star citizenship several years ago. Moscow said Segal had been given the Order of Friendship for his major contribution to the development of international cultural and humanitarian cooperation. Recall that last August, Segal visited the eastern Ukraine region of Donetsk, including the destroyed Olenva detention center, where dozens of Ukrainian prisoners were reported to have died. Still on entertainment news, Nigerian comedian Bright Okwocha, also known as Basket Mouth, has explained why he did not vote in Saturday's elections. The comedian gave his reasons via his Instagram account today. He stated that he had shows outside of Nigeria planned for a year in advance to secure a good venue, and that changing venues due to the election date would cause him logistical problems. Meanwhile, Africa's largest film festival will kick off on Saturday amidst the nation fight against jihadist insurgency. According to reports, over 15,000 people, including Nigerian cinema stars, will be attending. A filmmaker, Alex Moase, revealed that 100 movies from 35 African countries and the diaspora are shortlisted to compete in the festival. Meanwhile, government officials say they have ramped up security for the 2023 edition. In the meantime, Hollywood movie Everything Everywhere All at Once has cemented its status as the Oscars frontrunner after several big wins at the Screen Actors Guild SAG Awards. The multiverse adventure won Best Film Cast at the ceremony, while several of its stars were individually recognized. Michelle Yeoh was named Best Actress, beating frontrunner Kate Blanchett. Her co-star Ki Kwang became the first Asian winner of Best Supporting Actor, while there was a shock win for his co-star Jamie Lee Curtis in the Supporting Actress category. Lastly tonight, after a roller coaster week of stressing over wager presentations, task and fake nominations, the Big Brother Titans housemates spent all day overwhelmed with the pressure of the looming weekly Sunday evictions. After taking the housemates through a series of difficult questions, Lawrence, the South African co-host, finally revealed it was a non-eviction week, meaning everyone was safe and no one had to go home. And that's all we have for you tonight. Do well to follow us on social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum TV News at 9. I am Uyai Anyeken. Thanks for watching. Of course, at this time, we'll be heading back to join Abuja for the continued announcement of election results. Do have a splendid night rest.